Hey guys, welcome back to two white guys sitting across the table from each other drinking craft beer while they talk to you. This is
so different.
This is not your average podcast.
Hey guys, this is the Social Disruption Podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, Dalton Lalonde.
And this is his co-host, Dakota.
And this is technically our first episode. We consider the last episode a test episode.
Kind of like a little software, hardware test, you know. This is it, guys.
And by the way, everyone, thank you for the overwhelming response we've already gotten in the short little lifespan that the podcast has so far.
Yeah, man. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from you guys as far as views and comments and all sorts of things. And we're live on so many different platforms now. It's crazy to think.
We're on Spotify now. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a Twitter. We're on Stitcher. We've got
on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, we've got everything submitted to Apple. Just waiting on submission back for that. So give it another week or so. We'll be live on pretty much all of your streaming platform needs.
And of course, you'll find all of the links to whichever your preferred streaming service is on our Facebook and Instagram, so you can check us out and find your favorite place to listen to us talk to you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's already been super overwhelming. We're really excited. So Dakota, you know what time of year it is?
Oh, it's Spooktober, my dude.
It's time to get spooky.
Ooh.
And that's going to be kind of the loose topic of this week's episode. We're going to be talking about fear. Specifically, what scares you?
What are you afraid of?
Now, there will be a part, and we're going to go ahead and let everybody know now. There will be a part in the middle of this podcast, and
let's go and get a little dark in here.
And we'll rewarn everybody before it gets to that point. But it's going to get a little dark. There's going to be some heavy thematic elements. So we're going to, as we record, we're going to keep in track of the timestamp that it comes up in, and as well as a trigger warning beforehand, so that if you would like to skip it, we will tell you the time
what parts to cut out so you don't have to listen to anything you don't want to hear.
Yes. Again, we'll warn you before it gets to that point. So just throwing out there at the beginning, there will be a dark-ish, about 5-minute part in the middle here. But
anyways,
let's talk about fear. Dakota, you idiot. Do you know what it means when you actually get scared? Do you know what happens? Just take a wild guess.
You cry a little.
Wrong.
Poop your pants.
Maybe. That actually is quite a common response to fear.
Do you poop your pants when you're scared, Dalton?
Anyways.
Yeah, you can poop my pants sometime if you want to.
No,
we can trade.
Okay. Well, it's better than pooping your own pants, I guess.
My pants are usually brown.
But
khakis to work.
We ain't getting nothing done this episode.
It's all right. Banter is what keeps us happy.
All right. Let's get a little sciencey. Let's break it down a little bit. The physiological and biological reason why you feel fear.
What makes us spooked?
I'll tell you what makes us spooked, Dakota. Fear can be defined as the neurophysiological processes that prepare an organism to perform innate or learned responses to cope with danger.
The whole fight or flight thing.
Very, very true. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if that's the thing? If it's to imminent danger, then why do some people like to be scared? You know, what's the difference between, say, going to a haunted house or a scary movie, or coming across a wild boar in the wilderness?
I would say that the sense of control, because I mean, if you're just wandering around in the woods and you happen upon a boar, there's a distinct chance that you might be killed by it. However, going to a haunted house or a scary movie or something, sure, you might get the psychological thrill, the adrenaline of being afraid, but you're never actually in danger. And I think there's a line there that you have to toe of whether or not you might die. I think we're gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah, we're definitely cutting that out. Okay, so anyway, more science. The fear response starts in a region of the brain called the amygdala. This almond-shaped set of nuclei in the temporal lobe of the brain is dedicated to detecting the emotional salience of the stimuli, which is how much something stands out to us.
Did you know there's a boss in Dark Souls 3 named Amygdala?
Is it scary?
He's spooky.
Well, that's what it's named after, dude. Did it trigger a fear response in you?
It triggered lots of things in me.
Then
like rage, several deaths, a bad time, all of the above.
Well, it sounds like amygdala triggered your amygdala. Hey. A threat stimulus, such as the sight of a predator, triggers a fear response in the amygdala, which activates areas involved in preparation for motor functions involved in fight or flight, like you said earlier. It also triggers release of stress hormones and sympathetic nervous system. This leads us to bodily changes that prepare us to be more efficient in a dangerous situation. The brain becomes hyper alert, pupils dilate, the bronchi dilate, and breathing accelerates.
Okay.
Heart rate and blood pressure rise, blood flow and stream of glucose to the skeletal muscles increase, while organs not vital in survival, such as the gastrointestinal system, slow down.
To shut down.
So your body literally is just like, hey, you need to be as efficient as possible right now or you can die.
You can't be dying right now. And you said stress-induced hormones?
Yes.
Are you talking about like being scare-roused? Like you get a little...
that might be a little something different altogether.
You get your kicks by getting spooked?
I mean, some people are into that. You know, we're not going to kink shame here on the Social Disruption Podcast. If you're into getting aroused, then more power to you.
You spooky bitches.
You spooky bitches. We can just find a way to work that in the casual conversation every episode this month. I'll be happy.
That is my goal.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dakota, for like a very... Let's stick to surface level right now. Let's just...
Okay.
What scares you? Just kind of like an everyday thing.
All right, so it's kind of a weird combination. I'm afraid of being in high places. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling.
Okay.
From a place that is high up. Like, I think skydiving is the worst idea that could ever exist.
I want to go skydiving
Why
so
would
bad.
you jump out of a plane that is perfectly operational?
Adrenaline.
I don't need it like that. I can get my adrenaline elsewhere. I'll inject adrenaline into my heart before I jump out of a plane.
Okay.
And you can take that to the church. Like, I'm serious. I am not jumping out of a plane.
Okay. So, if it's just the fact of being in a high place,
it's more of like I'm nervous when I'm in a high place because I have the preemptive fear of falling from that place.
What if you're like in the top floor of a tall building, not on the roof, just the top floor looking out the window? Realistically, there's not a whole lot of...
Kind of like the pins and needles in my feet, and I kind of get a little like cold sweat because it's scary.
Now, being on the roof, that's way worse. It's wide open.
I would say so, yeah, because there's much more of a fear of the risk of actually having that happen unless I like fucking lean out the window and I'm getting ready to...
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't put myself in that situation, though, because I know my limits and I'm afraid of that.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think that's pretty common, you know? Like, I don't know. I think that's a pretty common thing to be not necessarily afraid of heights or height-related things, high places. I think it's perfectly normal.
And that stems out to, like, I'm not particularly a fan of amusement parks because roller coasters simulate that feeling that I'm afraid of.
Okay.
And I get motion sick really easily because of it. And don't go on a roller coaster with me unless you feel like having puke in your lap by the time we're done. Because I promise your boy's going to chuck.
Noted. Okay. Yeah. That's
What about you? What are you afraid of?
So just off the top, I don't mind spiders.
I ate a spider once to prove somebody wrong. They were like, "You're afraid of spiders, aren't you?" And I was like, "No."
I was there, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
I was sure. I was the one that asked you to do it.
Yep. I've done a lot of stupid things that you asked me to do.
And you've done them all.
I have.
Like, be on my podcast. It's ours now.
And then there was that time that I drank the whole thing of garlic butter because you asked me to.
Oh, yeah.
That was not a good time.
Don't drink the garlic butter in the Domino's pizza boxes.
It wasn't tasty. I mean, it's good on the crust, but this is way off topic. What are you afraid of?
Yeah. I don't like flying insects. Particularly wasps. Bees also to an extent. Wasps are just, I don't know, man. Like, they freak me out. They look so sinister. Like, they just look like they're here to cause you a bad time. And honestly, as far as like bees go, at least bees do stuff. What?
Have you seen the bee movie?
I have seen it. No. I have seen the bee movie.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a horror movie would you consider that to be?
At least a 6.
According to all known laws of aviation, there's no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyways, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.
And honestly, any insect that just doesn't care what humans believe it should or should not do is one to be feared.
Have you ever seen a cockroach just take a 90-degree turn up? It's like, fuck gravity. I'm going to climb this wall.
I hope I never do.
You ever tried to catch a bug and then you found out that it could fly
Yeah.
in the attempt of catching it? Now that's real fear.
That's pure fear.
That is what fear is made of, folks.
Yeah.
Bugs that you didn't think could fly,
But then
leaving the earth to attack you with an aerial assault. Do you have any particular reason that you're afraid of bugs? Flying bugs, anyways.
Growing up, I was stung by wasps a lot, so I think that might be it. But honestly, wasps just, the stings really hurt. Mm-hmm. They're just sinister-looking creatures. They serve no purpose.
Literally no purpose
to the environment. Bees are beautiful creatures that we need to keep alive at all costs. So, like, that's fine. You know, they
save the bees.
Yeah, please save the bees.
Honey is great. Flowers are great. Oxygen is really
being
nice
alive
to
is
have.
cool.
Bees are really cool.
Yeah.
Support your local. What are they called? Apiaries. That's what they're called, right? The beekeepers.
Yes.
Support your beekeepers.
Yes.
Whatever the scientific name for them is called. I'm kind of retarded.
I think it's apiary. I think that is what it is. Anyways, so flying insects. Flying insects is my answer. That's my real surface level answer. But we want to go a little deeper. What truly scares us?
Deeper.
For what truly scares us.
That was really hard to
Yeah.
listen to. I mean, I had to hear that in my own ears. So I'm sorry for everyone else that hears that.
Okay. Let's dive into how we enjoy fear.
We're talking scary movies, books,
Haunted houses,
ghost stories around the campfire,
video games.
some other fourth thing.
Yeah, I mean, so first things first.
I'm the coolest.
I don't like horror movies. Like, it's not a preferred genre at all. I'll watch them, but not even in my top 5 genres.
Now, I'll take a psychological thriller all day.
Yeah.
But scary movies are just, I don't know, man. All of them, like a lot of the scary movies I've seen throughout the years just seem so stereotypical and scripted. I just can't really get into it.
Yeah. These days, it's just all about jump scares, which to me feels cheap. I feel like a well-executed, well-set-up jump scare is okay, but just they're driving down the road, and there's just the sound of them driving. They're talking about the trip, and then a grotesque face pops up in the mirror, and it's just like screaming noise.
Spooky.
And it's just, that's cheap. What?
I'm trying to get back to the golden age. I'm talking monster movies, slashers.
Now, I love me some monster movies.
I'm all about it. Give me a good old classic whodunit. I'm trying to play Clue on my TV.
I mean, you can watch Clue. It was a movie.
I don't want to do that.
It was good. It was a good movie.
I haven't seen it, and I don't think I'm going to.
You literally asked for a good old whodunit and referenced the game Clue, but won't watch the movie Clue that I told you was good.
Is it actually good?
It is good.
All right, then I'll maybe watch it. I'll take your word for it this time.
This time, thank you.
Expect a review of Clue at some point down the road.
Yeah.
If it's garbage, Dalton is going to be roasted for it.
Yeah.
Because his reputation is riding on my enjoyment of this movie right now.
I mean, y'all can comment below in whatever comments of wherever you're listening to this.
If your streaming platform even has comments.
Yeah. If YouTube, not, Facebook, you can comment there. Tell us what you think about the movie Clue.
Tell us what you enjoy being scared by.
Ooh, yeah, that too.
Or even what you don't enjoy being scared by. Things that you're afraid of and things that you like being scared by.
A couple shout-outs. My friend Forrest is also afraid of flying insects. And as soon as I saw him comment that on the page, I was like, oh, me too, bud. Me too. My friend Ashley, she said the dentist. She does not like the dentist. I don't either.
Nobody likes the dentist, but people shouldn't be afraid of the dentist.
Yeah.
They should be afraid of what they're going to do to your gums. They're going to stab you with needles.
Honestly.
Repeatedly.
If you're afraid of the dentist,
and
it's on you.
And they're going to tell you that you're bleeding because you don't floss.
You are in control of how scary your dentist is, if you think about it.
Because you can just throw hands at any time.
No. Because
I mean, you can.
You can take better care of your teeth to where they have to do less scary stuff.
Or you could just get a dentist that's not an ass.
I mean, is your dentist an ass?
I don't even have one. I just brush my teeth. I mean, I'll go to like a dental clinic if I have like a toothache or something, but I tend to I eat pretty decently and I brush my teeth on a regular basis. So, I mean,
okay. But yeah, those were a couple of comments on the Facebook. Thank you guys for engaging.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to see it. Definitely let us know what you think about everything.
Yeah. Dakota, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
The scariest movie I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. I have my answer if you want me to go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go ahead and take this one first.
Okay. And I watched this movie when I was like 23. So it was well into adulthood. Okay. Have you ever seen The Woman in Black?
Uh-huh.
With Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah.
That movie ruined my life for like 6 months.
Okay. Okay. You were pretty spooked.
Something about the way that movie just like set up the atmosphere and having things happen in the background like out of focus.
It was very like subliminal.
Yeah. Like there was a part, it's like one of the first quote unquote scares in the movie where he walks into the house, or I don't recall it because I will not watch it again. And he walks into the house and it's got him focused in the shot, and the shot never moves at all while he's looking around. And in the background, something that's been there the entire time turns, and that's when you realize it was the woman in black. She'd been there in the entire shot, and you literally only notice her because she turns to look at the main character. Like, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It goes hand in hand with this amazing series on Netflix right now called The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay. That
what's going on in the background of shots is about as important as what's going on in the foreground. And there are hidden ghosts in the shots of every episode. So like as you're watching them and you're kind of scanning, you just see a ghost creepily just being there. And it's just done so well. And it's that subtle horror that like really keeps me up. Like, honestly. It's the stuff it's the opposite of a jump scare. Attention's not drawn to it. It's subtle.
Yeah, it's like
it's there, like it's looming. And it gets me. It got me so good. But, yeah, The Woman in Black was really scary. I didn't like that. The first Paranormal Activity had its moments.
I never watched any of the Paranormal Activity movies.
I love the found footage style of movie. So
yeah, I know you really enjoy like Cloverfield.
I love Cloverfield.
There's a couple of other movies like that you really enjoy. I know. They're so hard to watch for me. It's like kind of similar to like the whole roller coasters thing. Like it's just hard to focus. I get motion sick kind of watching. I know it kind of sounds like I'm complaining a lot.
I mean, not really. If you get motion sick, you get motion sick. It's not your fault.
Not really my style of movie, but To answer your question from before, I would say that I wouldn't have like a specific like scariest single movie of my life, but I would say that growing up, the ones that scared me the most would be like a toss up between The Hills Have Eyes and Silent Hill.
Oh, okay. No, Silent Hill games were good.
Silent Hill games were fantastic.
Yeah.
The movies were also very good.
Yeah. I've only seen the first one.
Okay.
But it was pretty scary.
I think it was there's 3 of them, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. There's like 4 games.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Silent Hill when we talk about video games, scary video games.
Definitely.
But
I don't know, just something about the Hills Have Eyes was just really.
I've only seen bits and pieces of The Hills Have Eyes because I hate gore.
It's just
and that's a very gory movie.
Graphic and intense. And it's just constant, nonstop, just in your face.
Yeah, like honestly, it's just the violence made me uncomfortable, as well as the subject matter. So I didn't finish it. So I've never seen it.
It finished you, apparently.
It did.
It just in the towel.
Instead of being like scared, spooked, or whatever, I was disturbed, and I think that's when it becomes unwatchable, to me personally.
In a similar manner, I know that we kind of talked about this in the last episode, but that movie Mother with Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, that was almost to the point where I was just like uncomfortable, but I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah. The allegory of the movie about, him being God, she being Mother Nature. They have their
the house
sons,
like
Cain and Abel.
Earth,
yeah.
Where they're like destroying it with the people
the baby being Jesus. And
if you watch the movie with the subtitles on, once everybody starts coming to visit the house, everybody's called like apostle or whatever. Like they don't give them just like.
Is it like herald, apostle?
All kinds of stuff like that, and it's very like religious undertones. And I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It was super interesting, but like the acting quality in that just made me uncomfortable because you really empathize with how discomforting and like just wild certain situations are, especially when like the baby gets killed at the end.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah. They legit kill a baby because the baby's supposed to represent Jesus, and God gives the baby to his followers as the same as God brought Jesus to the world, and his followers killed the baby just like they killed Jesus. But the baby don't come back.
It was the most uncomfortable I think I've ever been watching a film.
Yeah, and I think that again, it touches a little bit on what I said. It's like being scared. It's like, whoa, that was scary, but good. After Mother, it's like, that was a movie. I felt something. Not sure if it's good.
But
probably won't.
I don't like it.
Probably won't watch it again.
That's like definitely a solid one and done. Like I would never watch that movie again.
I'll never watch Requiem for a Dream again. You ever seen that?
I hate Jared Leto.
Oh, well then you'll never watch it to begin with.
I've seen it. And I hate him.
Yeah.
I hated him before I saw it. I hated him while I watched it, and I still hate him now.
All right. Well, we won't focus too much on it because it's not necessarily horror, but as far as the making you uncomfortable movies go, that's number 1 on my list.
Man was selling his grandma's TV for drugs.
You hate to see it.
You can't do that.
Now, I know you can't read, but if you read any Stephen...
I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to read.
And for those of you counting Vine references, we're at 1 so far in the series. Hey. But I actually got uncomfortable reading some Stephen King books. The one I liked the most was It, because book It is like 900 pages.
And it has some incredibly uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
Fortunately did not make it into the movies.
Yeah. It had some the atmosphere being built up. He's a very talented writer, except for the endings. But he's a very good writer, and he paints such a good detailed description of what's going on, what everything looks and feels like.
The world is so real just in the words.
Yeah. And so I personally, when I read, I get pretty lost inside the book. And so I feel like I'm there in a way that movies, I know I'm watching a movie.
They kind of emulate it, but poorly, because no movie is ever going to live up to the expectations that your imagination sets.
Right. And when you have more to fulfill your imagination, it's going to be closer. Mm-hmm. It's going to do a better job.
Because it's tailored to what you want it to be.
Yes.
There's no bounds that are limiting what you can imagine. Whereas, like, watching a movie, it's like that person's interpretation of it.
It's not the same as mine.
And it's not going
so therefore not as scary.
As yours. So you're going to have that disconnect.
Right.
Anyways.
But that's the only really book example I got. But we got a lot of video game examples.
Pet Sematary was another really good spoof.
Pet Sematary was good.
I haven't seen the recent film.
I heard it wasn't great.
The original was
very scary.
Quite uncomfortable to watch as a child.
The new It movies. I haven't seen Chapter 2 yet, but the old school series was pretty scary for its time. I grew up being scared by that movie. And the new movies have their moments, but they're kind of more of like action movies. More action adventure movies. It's like kids banding together.
It's like somewhere between like an adventure and
monster
a psychological
movie.
Thriller.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It's not as horror as I'd like it to be, but I haven't seen the second one.
It was so incredibly, like, just enjoyably nostalgic, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Biking to your friends' houses and, like,
right,
all kinds of stuff like that, like the cannon wire telephones,
mm-hmm.
all kinds of things like that. Just the high-waisted jeans. I mean, it's still a female trend, but
yeah, it's coming back.
Not for the good old boys. So another good one. I just have a bit of a funny little anecdote. My dad, my sister, a couple of my brothers as well, watching the original Cujo when we were
Stephen
kids.
King.
And my dad played this little trick where he pretended that he was tired, getting ready, he was going to go to bed, and he left and let us continue watching the movie without him. And he actually just went and like hid somewhere else in the house and was waiting to see who he was going to get with his little prank. And my sister gets up to go to the bathroom, and he's like in the kitchen, like where you have to like go past the kitchen to get to the bathroom, and it's just completely pitch black, and he's sitting there on all fours. And she turns the corner to go into the bathroom, and he like jumps out and starts barking at her, and Jesus, she was scared shitless.
I mean, I would be too.
A couple
that
days.
Dog's scared.
Ooh, that was a terrible, terrible time. Yeah, don't do that.
Yes, do that, especially around these times. October, Spooktober.
Don't do it unless you're gonna record it.
Yes, there you go.
And then post it on the internet.
Good clarification.
Also, tag us in it because I'd like to see that.
Yes, please. But video games.
Anywho,
what's a scary video game? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are. I think what we want to tag on first, I think you know what I want to say. Until Dawn.
Oh, yes. Until Dawn is... If you love horror movies, you will love Until Dawn. Because you're just playing...
games.
You're just playing through a horror game.
You love Until Dawn.
Yes. We cannot sing Until Dawn's praises more. We can try.
It's not going to get us anywhere because we already hyped this game up so much.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of just like a classic horror movie premise, and it's not very heavy on a lot of gameplay. It relies on its storytelling narrative.
Yeah, it's like
a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, kind of like the Telltale games, like
Walking Dead, Borderlands.
Some of the games like that where you like kind of make decisions going through the game, but most of it is like just watching and experiencing the game happen for you.
A lot of really good moments in that game. The scaredest I have ever been in my entire life, both movies, whatever. There was a little thing that came out probably 4 or 5 years ago called PT. And if you have a PlayStation, I have a PlayStation with it on it, so I can play it whenever I want. But if you have a PlayStation, find someone come over to my apartment.
Yeah.
Sit down, play PT with us. Do it when I'm not here, because I don't know if I want to sit through it again. It is short, but it is absolutely terrifying. There's some Let's Plays out there with no commentary that you can watch to get a gist of it, but really you have to be playing it. it is really the second most terrifying gaming moment. I'm about to kick it way old school with this one.
Here we go.
We're going back to the GameCube.
Ooh.
So one of my best friends, a fellow by the name of Kerry Brown, who I asked his permission before I could shout him out on here today.
Shout outs to Kerry.
Thank you. He brought over his GameCube in a game he wanted me to try. And this game is called, tell me if you've heard of this, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem.
Eternal Darkness.
Okay,
Good
so you've heard of it. So there is a part in Eternal Darkness, and I'm not going to spoil it in case you, for some reason, want to go out, grab your GameCube, and pick this game up, if you can find it.
And get all spooky over here.
And Carrie knew this part was coming. Basically, you go into a certain room of the house, and you interact with a certain something, and a certain something happens.
That was incredibly descriptive.
I don't want to spoil it, because if I spoil it, if they play it, then they want to go to it. But I was in the room I needed to be in.
You did the thing.
I didn't do the thing. And as I was leaving the room, Carrie was like, I think you forgot to check that. So he knew. He knew what was going to happen.
You didn't, nothing sparked in your head,
no.
I'm about to get got.
If anything, it was like I missed a clue or I missed a piece of a puzzle, you know?
Gotcha.
So I was just like, oh, I guess I didn't.
Being inquisitive.
I was being inquisitive.
He was being a little
and I went and interacted with this. And at 3 a.m. in my parents' house trying to stick by it, I screamed. I literally jumped out of bed, screamed, turned my TV off, and we did not play any more of it that night.
Oh, boy.
And I've gotten close to that during PT. PT has the more atmospheric horror. This was a jump scare that I'm talking about in Eternal Darkness, but PT had more atmospheric horror.
Kind of like Women in Black stuff?
Yes, more Women in Black type stuff.
But
the imagery in PT was also really, really good. It had a really weird underlying story that PT actually stands for playable teaser. Mm-hmm. And when you beat the mini, it's like a mini game. It unlocks a little cutscene that shows that there's going to be a remake of Silent Hills called Silent Hill that eventually would get canned when Konami kicked out Hideo Kojima, who made the Silent Hill games.
Rip Hideo.
Fuck Konami. And it was going to star Norman Reedus, which would have been really cool, but then Konami kicked out Hideo Kojima. PT got taken off the store.
This is the whole thing. You can't find it anymore.
You can't get it anymore unless you've already downloaded it.
You can't get it unless you have it.
Right. So we'll get to see a semblance of what a Hideo Kojima Norman Reedus team up would look like when Death Stranding comes out next year.
It looks so good.
It does look so good. But PT was the single most horrifying altogether gaming experience I've ever had in my life. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I will probably not play it again though.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take it back a little ways as well. I think the spookiest experience I've ever had with a game, also probably the longest it's ever taken me to beat a game in my plentiful gaming career.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Resident Evil 4.
Ooh.
I was like
Leon and Ashley.
Late elementary, early middle school when I played, so I wasn't particularly skilled with the eye-hand coordination yet. So I was pretty bad at it.
Yeah.
It took me like a couple of years to beat it for the first time.
Let me ask you something. Did you shoot the water at the end of that duck?
Oh, you
and did what happened terrify you like it did me?
Of course. I mean, I had friends that were playing it that were better at video games than I was. I would talk to them about it, and they would ask me how far I'd gotten and stuff. Tell them I was like, oh, I just got to the church with the big lake. And they were like, yo, shoot the water. And I was like, okay, cool, Easter egg. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, I died. Neat.
Oh, cool. a giant sea monster just pops out after like the 7th. It's not even the first shot. It's like the 7th or 8th shot.
You got to build up. You're like, is it working?
Is anything going to happen?
A couple more times. And then you're just like, oh, this is a letdown. And you shoot it again because you're angry, and then you just die. He's like, cool. That was a neat time.
No, that game was great.
It's not only scary game as far as I was concerned when I was a kid, but it was and is still to this day one of my favorite games of all time.
It's a great game. It's not high on any of my lists, but I did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I'll probably never play it again. It's probably going to get a remaster. Probably
it did. It got remastered for the PlayStation.
It did.
And Xbox One. Yeah, I got. I have to say that I originally played on the GameCube.
Yeah.
So I was used to the one stick controls, and having two joysticks to play it with on the PS4 and Xbox One is disorienting as hell.
Yeah.
And I was very bad at it because I just couldn't get the controls down anymore. Plus, I've kind of grown away from third-person shooters. I'm not good at them, and I don't enjoy them nearly as much as I did when I was little. Like, I used to play all kinds of, like the Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, all kinds of stuff like that. And I used to really enjoy third-person shooters, but then I kind of got into first-person, and then I was like, this is a lot better. I understand this more. The controls make sense. And then I kind of just stopped playing video games in general. RIP video games.
We'll get back there. My parents had a game for the PC called Seventh Guest, and
I don't think I've heard of that.
Mom and Dad, they're going to be listening. Mom, if you've made it this far through the language,
it actually hasn't been that bad.
I've purposely made sure it hasn't been that bad, so hopefully she'll listen to the whole thing. So
we love you, Mom.
Yeah, thank you, Mom. Seventh Guest. It's about. I didn't remember a lot of it. I need to find somewhere to download it and replay it.
I'll pull up a little synopsis of it on my phone real quick, see if I can get an idea of what it's
okay.
Because I haven't heard of it before.
You're basically in a haunted house, and you do a lot of puzzles, and it's just got a lot of creepy things going on. But the part that creeped me out was when you exited the game. I'm going to see if I can find a little sound clip of it also. Because when you exit the game, and it says, like, are you sure you want to exit?
I have literally never heard of any of the people that helped make this game, or the publishers, or the producers, or anything like that.
Yeah.
It came out in April of 1993.
Yeah, it's old.
So, she old.
Okay, hey now.
I'm not talking about your mom, I'm talking about the game.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, I can't find the clip, but when you exit the game, and it's like, are you sure you want to exit, and you click yes, this voice just yells, come back. It's just like, come back! Fucking terrifying. Sorry, Mom. Nice. But it was terrifying, and you know it. It was...
The game is played by wandering through a mansion, solving logic puzzles, and watching videos that further the story. The main antagonist is an ever-present menace, taunting the player with clues, mocking the player as they fail his puzzles, insinuating everyone will be dead by the time that you solve these, and expressing displeasure when the player succeeds, such as, don't think you'll be so lucky next time.
Yeah. It was scary, honestly. Like, and it was hard. My mom always said it was a hard puzzle game, and she loves puzzle games. But
it's pretty impressive. I mean, it says that the game came out in like 93, it says, and it says that there's 21 levels. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty... That's some solid depth for a game of its age.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
But, yeah, that's scary video games for you. I mean, obviously the Silent Hills video games are also pretty scary. Some of the previous Resident Evils are also scary. Did you ever play Fear?
Yes.
Yeah, Fear was scary.
Fear was really good. Back to Resident Evil, though. The most recent one, 7.
Biohazard?
Solid.
Did
you play that one?
A little bit. I played a little bit of it. I played a little bit of it in VR.
Ooh. I haven't played it in VR yet, but it's definitely on my list of games that I want.
It ruined me. Yeah, I didn't like it. They had a really nice VR headset that had the one that wrapped around the back of your head, so you can get like
HTC Vive.
Yeah, the one that you could hear the things like around and behind you.
Yeah, it's got like the surround sound built in.
And I was walking around outside the house, and I heard leaves crunching behind me, and I turned around, and of course there's nobody there. And but I specifically heard the leaves, and then I took it off and didn't play it anymore.
It's like, nope,
I was like, this is too realistic for... I could probably play it, just normally, not VR, but VR was way too much for me.
I gotcha. It was really cool because I played through it several times, just like on all of the different difficulties, trying to get as many different ways that the game could end as it could, because there are a couple of different ways the game could turn out based on your decisions and stuff, which is magnifico. Very wonderful thing.
Always a good thing
And
in a video game.
the main character's name is Ethan. And while I was in the Navy, I had a good friend who was named Ethan, and he came over and played it, and he was shook. Like, the game was, like, talking directly to him.
That's why, to this day, I haven't seen the movie Insidious, because
Wild.
the little possessed boy's name is Dalton. Too close to home. Not going to happen. Okay, so we're about to get into a little bit deeper stuff now.
This is the part where you might want to skip ahead if you're not interested in hearing.
Yeah, and I'll record a little something in here to put the exact timestamp so that you can fast forward to whatever. But we're going to get into a little bit of trigger warning stuff here. So this is a trigger warning for death, suicidal ideations, like existentialism, just all around some deep-seated fear type stuff. And if, as we're talking, there's any more, I'll retroactively edit this.
Yeah.
So that we can cover it. Okay. So I'll go first.
Sure.
And this I think is also pretty common. But if I start thinking too much about what's going to happen when I die or when one of my loved ones dies, I get real upsetty spaghetti.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, like, shaking thing to think about.
Because, like, we may do, like, a religion episode sometime. We might because we're eventually going to get into some heavy episodes down the line. October's just a good time for a bunch of fun topics.
Spooking.
Yeah. But down the line we may get into some stuff. So we're not going to go too much into, like, religious, but a lot of people believe you go to heaven or hell when you die.
Or some variation of the type.
Some variation of the afterlife. But I think what scares me is that if none of that is true and it's just ceasing to exist, there's no heaven, there's no hell, there's no limbo, no afterlife, no reincarnation. Just there will come a time where every single thing
that you are or were
is
no more.
No more. And
that's scary to think about, man.
It is scary to think about. Like, I'm never going to go through being this old ever again. Like, the time is running out. Granted, I still, all things considered, have 75% of my life to fill out.
Mathematically speaking, of course.
Yeah. But it's a little harrowing to think about. Like, there's a timer. And the timer is ticking down to nothing. The lack of existing. So, that's kind of one of my deep-seated things. Now, that's not something I think about all day, every day. But if we're ever sitting down, cracking open beers, maybe someone just passed away and we're all discussing death in general, it comes up.
You start to get a little anxious thinking about stuff.
Yeah, like if I had a heart rate monitor now, my heart rate's already higher now that we're talking about it and I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Just, it's nothing. At some point, you're nothing. You're not going to miss your friends. That's cool. But you're not going to miss them because
you're not there to.
You're nothing. You're
not there to experience those feelings.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. That's one of my deep-seated things that, like, I really, if I think about it, get a little.
I mean, I feel like that's part of it for, like, everybody. I feel like I don't want to, like, blanket stereotype or anything like that, but it's almost similar to, like, the phenomenon of if you say a word too many times, it starts to almost lose meaning. Yeah.
That's called semantic satiation.
Yeah. There you go. Semantic satiation. Similarly to that, it's just like if you think about the concept of death, the afterlife, what is or isn't there, it kind of starts to just muddle. Mm-hmm. And everything is just so abstract, and there's no way of having a clear answer. I mean, sure, you can believe in what your faith dictates or what have you, and you have every right to believe what you choose to, but coming down to brass tacks, there's no way of knowing whether anyone is right or wrong about it.
Right.
Until you're there experiencing it or not.
Right. Also, there could come a time where I've lived a long, good life and I'm ready to go. You know?
Sure. But now's not the time.
Yeah, not in like a, millennial meme. I'm ready to die. Not in that sense, but in like a true, like, I've
satisfied with your experiences.
I've loved, I've lived, I've laughed.
I knew you were going to do that.
I gotta break it up because I'm anxious now.
I can't stand you.
But no, like I've lived a good long life. I have kids that hopefully have kids. I've done a lot of things, and I'm ready to go. Gotcha. And I won't be so nervous or anxious about it at that point. But again, won't know till we're there.
Yeah. Also, commenting back on what you just said, you said the whole, I have kids that have kids, and I was like, your boy is 3. He better not have kids.
Well, I was just saying when I'm like...
I misunderstood what you were saying. I knew you were speaking in future tense.
My stepson is 3 years old. He does not have children.
I'm glad that we covered that.
Okay, now so that everyone's aware.
He's not a grandpa.
All right. What about you, man? What's a deep-seated fear you have?
I would say that it's roughly of the same chord as yours. Is just like the understanding that life is finite, and like have you ever really like just sat and thought about the fragility of existence?
Yeah, like
that's what scares me, I think.
Like how easy it could be to just stop everything?
Any number of things could happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the statistics off the top of my head, but like, can you imagine how many different like variables go into surviving your drive to work? Or like,
yeah, like
anything like that. There are so many, just an absolutely appalling number of risk factors that we just experience on a daily basis, just living our lives, that I can genuinely say that it is fascinating and a borderline a miracle that every one of us is able to get up every day and continue going about.
Yeah, like have you ever actually thought about how truly dangerous vehicles are? Like you're driving a 2-ton death machine moving upwards to 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, just hoping everyone around you is competent enough that they will not
They're going
to
do the same thing at a relative skill level so that no one just has any
wild concept.
Catastrophic events.
And also the fact that there are so many people out there texting and driving, drinking and driving. Like
any combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many different forms of distraction. I'm not trying to preach to anybody about being a safe driver. I mean, I've had my fair share of infractions as far as like I'll check a text message while I'm driving or any number of things like that. I'm not trying to be he who cast the first stone. I know I'm not without sin, but it's just like even if it was just you out there being the one distracted driver, it's just you're even still putting every other person on the road at risk by being one person that is taking that risk yourself. Now imagine the form factor that it takes when you consider any number of the people that are on the road with you could be doing the exact same thing, putting everyone at risk, and the compound just multiplication of how dangerous things are that we take for granted and do on a daily basis as if it was nothing.
Yeah. It's scary.
How many times have you driven to work and not even remembered getting there?
A lot.
Because you were just zoned out and distracted.
It's
on
routine.
Autopilot.
Yeah, it's routine, man. Like
the risk is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
But your body goes into autopilot because it's such a routine, generic, bland task.
And all of a sudden you're piloting this 2-ton death machine with the amount of attention that you would pay a TV show going on in the background. Maybe less.
Yeah. Because you're not even laughing at the jokes your car's making.
And my car is a joke. Oh. But yeah, that is scary. Just how easy and fragile existence is. You're alive today basically because everything has gone right.
It's chance.
Yeah.
everything has gone right to get you to where you are. And others couldn't say the same.
Yeah.
Accidents happen every day. People think that would never happen to me, but every single time an accident happens, that is happening to one of those people that thinks that
it'll never happen to them.
It's
wild, man. It really is.
And
it's funny you mentioned the like fragility of like existence and how everything has to go right.
mm-hmm.
Do you have any irrational fears? Like that's a very rational thing to be afraid of when you like really think about it. But again, like mine, it's not something you consistently think about on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you do. I don't know. But
honestly,
do you have any
like,
irrational fears?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure
if
I have anything that I could think of. But let me hear what you have to say, and maybe I can kind of come up with something based off of what you're saying.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you've noticed anything about some behavior of mine, have you ever seen me get on or off an elevator?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I do a weird little hop. The door opens. I don't walk through it. I walk up to it. I stop there, and then I try to see as fast as possible how I could get across with as little time as possible that my body's in the halfway point because I don't want to get cut in half.
Okay, some like Final Destination stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
I've seen it a lot. It's in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And you know what? Just like you were saying, man, I'd be like, it's not going to happen to me.
And then...
But what if it does? You know?
But what if it does? That's the fear. But
the elevator door opens. Pause. Boom. Try to just... And yeah, I might get some looks. You know? Whatever. Boo. They're
you
not...
just got to send it. Like, when the elevator door opens, just sprint out the door and keep going. Like...
Well, I was talking to Shelby. My girlfriend, Shelby.
Shout out to
Shelby, my girlfriend. I was talking to her about it, and she feels the same way about escalators. Mm. I mean, your shoelaces get caught up in the escalator.
That's such an irrational fear, though.
It is. It's about as irrational as mine, but at the same time, what if it does happen? You know?
Have you like actually like discussed with somebody like that fear of being
No, because it's irrational.
With an elevator, like the concept, generally speaking, of course, everybody thinks their own way. Is like my shoelace is going to get stuck, and then I'm not going to be able to get my foot out, and then I'm going to turn into a tube of toothpaste. Alternatively, your shoelace could just break because of the tension, or you just take your shoe off, suffer a minor L, and don't become meat paste because of a machine that probably has a failsafe to prevent that from happening in the first place.
Another great reason to wear Crocs everywhere we go.
Or take the stairs. The stairs aren't going to cut you in half or mush you.
They're not. That's a very good point. They're not.
All of these irrational fears could be avoided by just taking the stairs.
That is very true.
Unless you have an irrational fear of the staircase being slippery and you just like fall and break your neck or something.
And in which case,
to the train.
I'll never get the train. But yeah, stairs will solve both Shelby and mine's problems. So it looks like we're taking the stairs everywhere, babe.
And it's the fit way.
It's the fit.
Change your elevation.
Fit.
Unless you want to like parkour up the side of the building or something. I mean,
if
that's
I
a
could,
little
I
more
would.
abstract.
With
that attitude, you can't. So you're going to have to go out there and give it a shot.
I mean, you ever parkour just to flex on stair boys?
You ever tried to climb a tree at the park because your disc got stuck in the tree?
That's unrelated.
That happened today.
It did.
He did not get the disc out of the tree by climbing it. We had to throw rocks at it.
We're going to cut that out because that has nothing to do with fear at all. All right, well...
Can we keep cuts? Like, is there a way to save cuts?
Yeah.
Because I would love
we can
to
make
do
a folder.
outtakes.
We can make a folder of outtakes.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this is still going out. This is all going in said folder.
Okay, good. All right, back on track.
Because this is like the first one that we'll have actual cuts from.
Yeah.
Okay, so... is there anything left about fear in general you want to talk about? I love haunted houses. I didn't really touch on that as much. Haunted houses are really cool.
That's more of like, it's like a controlled fear, but you have less control than like a movie or a video game or something like that, because you're there experiencing it, and you're psychologically unaware of whether or not you're going to actually be in danger.
Yeah.
Like, the one time that I did a haunted house, it was like a homebrew thing. It wasn't like an actual, like, not like a Plantation Blood or anything like that. Like, nothing like big named. It was just like a buddy had a big plot of land with a big barn. Yeah. And they did a haunted house in it. Okay. And his grandpa was one of the guys that was like, quote unquote, like working the haunted house, and he was chasing people with a chainsaw. Mm-hmm. And he did not remove the chain. Okay. So yeah, that's bad. Legitimate, actual danger, and that was terrifying. And I don't like haunted houses partially because of that. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. That's scary. It was terrifying being chased by a masked man that was wielding a chainsaw that actually had the chain. Yeah, that's bad. That was not a good time. Well, I don't blame you there. There was a haunted house I went to at Scarowinds. Okay. That it was a corridor, very narrow corridor that narrowed as it went down, and on the walls, all along, like from foot level to head level, there were hands, like fake hands. Okay. That like you had to walk through, and it like went past and touched on you as you walked by, but some of the hands were real people. So they would like. So it'd grab you every now and then. Okay. That was really cool. That was just a cool effect. Okay. That kind of reminds me of a scene from Resident Evil 7. You're kind of like shimmying through a crawl space in the house, and in both directions, everywhere. It would actually be really scary, I guess, in VR for you, I would imagine. Yeah. The walls are just covered in bugs. And you're like literally like face to face, like scrubbing along the walls, like trying to get through a crawl space to get away. And I'm not even afraid of bugs, and I was disgusted. That's icky. So I think that would be a really terrible experience for you. You should give it a shot. Okay. Since you enjoy being spooked. I do. It's interesting. I think October is a great month. Well, it's a great month for a lot of reasons. My birthday's in October. It is. Your birthday's actually next week. It is next week. It's the 16th. The 16th. So 5 days from the time this is posted. So a week from today. But just it's getting cooler weather. It's time to nuzzle up with the people you hold close and just get scared together. It brings people closer together. It's a great time of year. We've got amber-colored beers coming out. We've got amber-colored beards coming out. Ooh. We got flannels. We got yoga pants. We got boots. Ooh. We got leaves changing colors. We got scary stories to read in the dark. Speaking of scary stories to read in the dark, we have our first guest appearance episode planned. Hey. So, 2 weeks from today, we're going to have a buddy of mine named Zach. And I don't know if y'all... do you know what a creepypasta is? Of course I know what a creepypasta is. I'll explain it for the viewers. There's a term called copypasta, which is a copied piece of text. It's like an amalgamation of copy, paste. Copy and paste. Yeah, it's... Take a story from somewhere and post it to a bunch of places so that everybody kind of gets references to it. Yeah, the most famous one being the Navy SEALs copypasta. I'm not going to read it out loud because it's very vulgar, and the lovely Candy Lalonde is listening. Yes. I don't want to spoil her ears. But there's a spooky version of it called creepypasta. The most famous one, I'm sure you've heard of, one being Slender Man. Yeah. Slender Man started as a creepypasta. As a creepypasta. And he became just this absolute cult following, huge. Real people in real life died because of that. Did you hear about that? Mm-hmm. It's like those two girls. They were like middle school girls. They murdered each other for Slender Man. Yep. Wild. But 2 weeks from today, we're going to have Zach on the air. We're going to be reading some creepypastas. And I, as well as Zach and Dakota, if you want to, you can. Of course. We'll be writing our own creepypastas to read on the air. Sounds like a good time. So we'll have to go all out. We'll have some s'mores, some spooky music. Oktoberfest beers. Yeah. And some spooky background music. Yeah. We might even dress up. I'd love to dress up, dude. Oh, it's gonna be
a
good
hit.
time.
Now we are also planning a special Halloween episode. Not entirely sure 100% what it's going to be about, but I've got a couple ideas and we've got some time to go over it. So that's going to be
as always, we're going to be posting on our social media accounts, letting you guys know what we have planned, getting some feedback, some ideas from what you guys want to hear, what you do and don't like. So if you have any suggestions, drop us a line. Let us know what you've got to say, and we'll be waiting with bells on.
Yeah. Quick shout out, real quick. There's a podcast, local podcast called Chill Vibes, and we know one of the hosts. Well, you know him better than I do.
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
He's actually the drummer for my brother's band.
Which is?
Kill the Host.
Kill the Host, local Augusta metal band, really good. But Nick is co-host with a guy named Perry.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I've never met Perry. I've heard of him, never met him. And he invited all 5,000 of his friends to our Facebook page, and I truly believe a big reason why it's gotten so popular is because of that. So big shout out to him and Perry and Chill Vibes podcast. Please check it out. Absolutely. It's really cool. They stream video games, they talk, they feature local musicians and artists. Really cool thing they got going on over there.
Yeah, and one of the coolest things I have found out about that is I was actually talking to Nick about it the other day. They don't script anything. All of it is just one take, live. They just press record, and everything that happens is just raw, uncut footage, and it's super cool.
And they're live right now.
They are.
That's, yeah. So big shout out to them. Thank you guys so much. And
Absolutely.
That's all we got for this time, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening.
I said we've got the episode coming out with Chill Vibes here pretty soon.
Yeah, we got Chill Vibes. We got Creepypasta. We got
the Halloween special coming up.
Halloween special at the end of the month. We got an episode next week that's going to be a surprise to us too, because we still aren't sure what it's going to be. Yeah. We have a couple of ideas,
I'll tell
but
you what? You're the birthday boy. You get to pick.
Ooh.
How about them?
Incoming Kingdom Hearts episode. I'm just kidding. That's not. It's not in theme at all.
We can talk about whatever you want, bud.
You know what? I'll think about it. But check us out on YouTube at Social Disruption Podcast.
We've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah. We are live on Spotify and Stitcher at the moment.
Apple
with
Podcasts
Apple and Google Play.
Google Play coming soon.
On the way. There may even be a chance for a giveaway in the near future. Yeah, we've thrown out the idea of giving out some.
We're looking at getting to some interaction milestones on our Facebook page. We just broke 250 likes today. We get to maybe somewhere between 300 and 500. We'll start talking about a giveaway, maybe some Amazon gift cards. If we start talking about maybe getting some merch going.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of prototype traction. Merch. Yeah. And also, as always, we're always looking for friends to come on.
Absolutely. So if you guys have anything that you're passionate about that you want to tell people about, this is your chance to have an outlet. Come talk to us about something that you want to talk about, and we'd be more than happy to have you guys on the show.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, that does it for this episode of the Social Disruption Podcast. I'm Dalton.
I'm Dakota. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.